What member would you say overall would have influenced you the most?
What member of the club?
Yeah.
I guess it depends. I mean, because you kind of have like generations, right? At different times in the club, I think different people taught me different things. I think the member today that probably has the most influence over me is actually a member that I sponsored to get into the club. Her name is Lord Cree, and she's with our Polito Bay charter on Xbox. She started out on our PS4 charter in Los Santos. But the thing about Cree is she's half my age, but she's so level-headed and mature and calm. And, like I said, I mean, you guys know in any kind of a family environment, you have dust-ups and fights and arguments and that kind of thing. And you do have to be, you can't, sort of take the petty road. You can't be malicious. You can't, sort of be too aggressive and that kind of thing. But that's hard. Sometimes you get, emotionally get worked up, get angry with each other and that kind of thing. And this kid, Cree, is just always, despite her age, I mean, she's just so mature and so level-headed and always like coming to me with like alternate solutions. She's like, I know you want to flip out and do this. She's like, but what if you approached it in this manner? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, I guess I could do it that way. So, because it's a different voice of reason. Yeah, because it's kind of like I feel almost like, again, like I sponsored her in the club, to become a patch and that kind of thing. And so I always joke with her and be like, I'm your dad in the club, that kind of thing. And so I kind of almost feel like I have like to live up to something. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I look at it like it's like if you're with your children in real life, like you look at it like, how am I acting right now? What example am I setting right now? Am I being the best man I can be right now? Or, am I setting a bad example? So with her, when she comes to me and checks me on stuff like that, I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like I got to be a better Reaper Lord because of her, if that,
Yeah, completely.
So lately I would say it's this kid, but it's been, many Lords over the years at different times in my Reaper Lord career, if you will.
Well, touching on that, like me and a couple of the old timers, we call them in the club, like we bring that up a lot. How great it is seeing these new guys come in and, they're that excited prospect. They become a patch member and then they just soar. You know, like it is a great feeling to see. I mean, it's kind of like your work, like you're a part of what this is. And, like to see what, you're creating.
Yeah,
I do love that feeling. So we kind of touched on this already, but with the Reaper Lords being around for such a long time, it's not an accident, that you guys have been here this long. What have you guys done, that has made you guys last and be so strong over the years?
I think, again, I just, just to sum up what I went on and on and on about earlier, I think it just comes down to, like I say, being humble within the club and always putting the club first. We all kind of pop off and flare up and stuff from time to time, but at the end of the day, you do have to kind of check yourself and just go, hey, wait a minute. Again, am I being the best Lord I can be right now? Is this really what we're about? Am I kind of doing the club benefit or am I doing the club harm with my actions? And, in that regard, I think, again, it's just having that underlying culture and traditions and, wanting to live up to something, more important than you and how you feel today. So I think that's again, the biggest accomplishment, if you will, in that, it's allowed us to, stay together and have the benefit of each other's time and company and friendship and love. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Just curious on kind of the patch though. What does your patch mean? Or are you able to talk us through it? To mean the colors, what the middle piece is, and where the name came from, all the sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the Reaper Lords, I don't think there's anything particularly special about the name. I mean, we do have a lot of traditions, stuff that we pass down, that we don't necessarily talk about outside of the club. But I think that at the time there were a lot of clubs, that were kind of referring to themselves as Reaper this, Reaper that. And the club founder was a guy who had, kind of a big vision and really wanted to be like the top MC, if you will, and that kind of thing. So he really felt like, being the Lord over the rest of the Reapers was, kind of, I think part of the inspiration for the name Reaper Lords. It's why we refer to ourselves as Lords within the club instead of Reapers, for example. And so I think, at least that was part of the contributing factors to the origin of the name. And the centerpiece has evolved over time. But it always goes back to that same, kind of iconic looking hooded Reaper. I think what's most important, and I think you guys actually said it when you're in the cut too, is just that the top rocker is what's most significant to us. The top rocker is kind of what binds us together, because we have Lords who are on different consoles and different stages of life and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, we're all Reaper Lords.
Exactly.
And, so, top rocker is most significant.
And obviously, there's different color and all that. There's no origin name, or like, for example, the colors. Where would they have come from? I mean, there's like
yeah. Like I said, we don't talk about that stuff outside the club. I mean, there is. Yeah, I mean, all that is kind of stuff that we pass on orally, from generation to generation within the club, and it's kind of club business.
That's understandable. Yeah, completely.
So with like you said, you guys are mostly on Red Dead right now. And we don't know where GTA 6 is, if it's coming anytime soon or when it'll be here. What is the future of the Reaper Lords? Do you guys plan on sticking with Red Dead and then moving to GTA 6 when it eventually comes out, or what do you guys plan on?
I can only speak for myself on that. It's not for me to really say what the club is going to do, but like me personally, I would love to see us go to GTA 6. But ultimately, big decisions like that are made collectively. So, when GTA 6 comes out, if it comes out, we'll review it as a club and, make the determination as to what we want to do based on the majority of members at the time. And I would be shocked if we didn't go rolling into GTA 6. I can't wait. I mean, I really hope that that's the decision. I'd be shocked if it wasn't, but like I say, it's not right for me to say for sure that's what we're going to do, but I strongly suspect that's exactly what we're going to do. I can't wait.
Right.
Yeah, I think many kind of MCs hope that's where the direction will be. But speaking of the kind of MC community, what would you imagine is wrong with it at the moment, or right with it? What do you think is going right? What do you think is actually going wrong?
In terms of what's going right, I'll start with that. I think that there are a ton of wonderful people in the MC community, like especially when you meet them like one-on-one and that kind of thing. The MC community, and this is going to sound strange with what I'll say next, but like it is a special community within GTA, within gaming in general. As corny as it would sound to people outside of the GTA MC community, values like respect and loyalty and honor and that kind of stuff. The people who play, certainly not all of them, but some people, a lot of people, I would say more so in this community, like a higher concentration of people in this community, maybe than other communities, have those values and aspire to, sort of conduct themselves in an honorable fashion. So even if they're in enemy clubs or clubs you've never met before, I mean, for me personally, the more I talk with people and the more I get out into the community, the more you kind of find these gems of people throughout the community that are like super intelligent, super dedicated, good-hearted. I mean, we've done a lot of charity events in the past. The MC community always has flooded, those with cash and that sort of thing. So you kind of see it all come out when, you have those positive, rallying events. So I think in terms of what's good about the MC community is that there's just really some amazing people. And, the more you get out and talk with different clubs, the more you realize, wow, there's just, again, so many decent people. Even if they're shooting at you, if you can get 5 minutes alone with some of these guys in the MC community, you very quickly realize that, all right, it's just it's a club colors thing. We shoot at each other for the patches, but at the end of the day, if circumstances were different, we could be best friends kind of thing. So I think there's just a lot of like wicked awesome people in the community. What's wrong with the community is there's also a lot of shitbags. Like there's also a lot of like really shitty people, and people who have low character, low moral, just will do anything to get a scorecard and put it up on Instagram, all of that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, they're sort of allowed into the community, and it's based largely on numbers. I mean, everybody likes to talk about quality over quantity, but very, very few who actually, sort of walk that walk. And unfortunately, the community at this point is like completely saturated and overrun with tryhards and shitbags that, have really made the community, not what it was. It has really detracted from it. And, again, I think a lot of it just comes down to all the beef and drama and egos. Nobody wants to get pushed around. They kind of associate too much with their GTA persona. And so they're willing to just recruit as many people around them, regardless of their behaviors, morals, any of that kind of thing, just to have numbers. And before you know it, it just brings more and more and more people into the community that don't share, kind of the values of the people who, started the community. And, when they talk about, 1%, right, we often talk about that in terms of combat rules. But I can tell you right now, like back in the old days, it really was about more than just that. Right. It was the combat rules, but it was, the 1% of GTA players that conduct themselves in this fashion. Right. You're part of an MC. You ride a motorcycle. You fight only with ARs. Right. And your club is something that you take pride in. Right. It's not something you just switch like underwears every day. Right. It's something that you take pride in and you live by, and there's accountability. And if you violate the rules, then you get kicked because you're bringing shame to your club. Like that stuff was real. You know what I mean? At least, again, in the early days on PS3 and Xbox 360. But over time, again, people with big egos and, who just don't take it that seriously have allowed more and more people to come into the community that have, it has really, eroded what the community was originally about. And I don't say that to be disrespectful toward any clubs or any individuals in particular. What I'd rather, say is that it can be better. It could be better. It was better in the past, and it can be better in the future if people, really are more selective and hold each other accountable. If you're somebody who has influence in the community and, you get into a fight and somebody comes up, and is run alongside you with a rocket, shooting at people, like you shouldn't be rolling with that person. You know what I mean? If you have honor for yourself, for your club, that kind of thing. If you're doing a photo event and a bunch of tryhards show up, like you shouldn't be like helping to promote them and allow them, to be welcomed within the community. If they're not part of the actual community, right? Like I don't care how many people you have in your picture. If they're not quality people and people who are helping to enrich the community, then all you're doing is helping to bring the community down. So I think that there, again, is an opportunity for the people who really value what the community was originally, founded on, to kind of uphold those values and return to those values, and not accept these like TDM heads and tryhards and, people using FAA and booting and all of that other, extra horse shit. Again, the MC community was beautiful at one time. It could be beautiful again if, people uphold, the standards that it was founded on.
No, that's an amazing answer. Yeah, that's the answer I was looking for.
True.
So, I don't know if you'll be able to go into detail with this or not, but what's been the biggest obstacle or the hardest thing you've faced within the club?
Within my own club, I would say, geez, I don't know. It's hard, man, because it's serious, right? Like anything that you place value on, anything that you really truly care about and cherish is going to cause you stress and strife and pain. You know what I mean? It's just, little things that shouldn't be a big deal. And even if you wait a week and you just sleep on it for a few days, okay, everything just chills out. There's no need to stress out. Everything goes back to normal. But if you really love your club, when you see something happening that you don't like, it will fill you with dread. Oh shit, what's going to happen next? If this happens and then that happens and then that happens, what's going to be the end result for the club? Is it going to help us or is it going to hurt us? So, I mean, for myself personally, like I say, I'm an older guy. I've traveled all over the world. I've been in business for a long, long time now. I don't know. I just have a lot of experiences that, will allow me to kind of look at a situation and say, okay, I know what happens next, and I know what happens after that, and I know what happens after that. So a lot of times I'll say something like, I really think we should be focused on this. And people are like, nah, shut up. That's not, that we're not doing that. And then, like I'll see something, happen again down the road. I'm like, I hate to say I told you so, but if we had done this before, like, we wouldn't be in this situation now. So there are situations like that you encounter where you can kind of see something coming, but don't necessarily have the ability to make everybody else understand it and see why it's important. And then, you kind of, I think, it kind of feels like a failure in leadership or failure to, have the patience and take the time to explain things the way that, you'd like to, because, it's kind of, again, it's the kind of thing that you feel like there's stress over, and because you love the club and you want it to do well. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge that I face in the club is, like I say, it's just the little stupid things that, sort of feel like a big deal at the time. And, if you give them time, they usually will blow over. But then also knowing the difference when it really is something that's big, and being willing to, kind of push for it and have the patience to explain it. Because at the end of the day, we are a democracy. So you don't get to just say, hey, this is what we're doing. Even if, no matter how badly you think it's the right thing to do. You know what I mean?
No, I completely get that. Like sometimes you have to step up to the plate and you have to recognize the problem as it is. And you sort of have to just push forward with it. And obviously you love your club as much as any member loves their club and so on. So you just sort of have to fight for what you love. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But just curious though, in all the elements of the club, so whether it be events or rides or whatever it may be, what is your favorite thing to do with your club?
That's a good question. I definitely talk a lot. Like I was charter president for our PlayStation charter for a while, and I really like to do like special events with other clubs and other crews and that kind of thing. Because, in our club, we do a tremendous amount of practicing of different things. So we have different standards that, we have set and documented. And obviously, like, other clubs, we have officers who are responsible for ensuring those elements of the club, perform the way we'd expect them to. And so, we do all of this kind of like work, if you will, behind the scenes, whether it's, ride formations or combat training or, on and on and on. And at times it can seem kind of silly until, you got 15 Reaper Lords in a lobby, and then you got 15 of somebody else in a lobby, and all the Reaper Lords are dressed the same. They're lined up. There's nobody running around. There's nothing blowing up. You got one person talking. When that person says move, everybody moves as a unit. And you get that reaction from other people where they're like, God damn, you got shit together. Those moments for me are extremely satisfying. Because again, I know how hard the members of the club work to define those standards, practice them, drill them, and kind of uphold them. And I know the pride that they all feel when others react to it, when they see it and go, wow, holy shit, like these guys really have their shit together. Those to me are, and again, that can be in combat, that can be in a race, that can be in a ride, that can be in anything. It's just that, before we go into things, we plan it out, we, strategize, we define whose roles are going to be what, we make sure that we have our shits together so that when we get in that lobby and we're in front of other people, like we have our shit together. And again, the reason is you want the Lords to feel that sense of pride and of being part of something special. When you look across the parking lot or the trail and the other crew is all fucking running around and bumping into each other and people are falling down and lassoing each other or blowing each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can just see that stark differentiation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like for the weirdos who are in our club, like we like that shit. Like we like to be organized. We like to be squared away. So when you see it, juxtaposed with somebody else who are wonderful people, don't get me wrong, but for us, it's that sense of pride and, kind of being part of something different. Especially,
yeah, you like
I really love to see
organization, basically. And that kind of small sense of military, a little bit there about as well. Yeah.
No, that's exactly how I feel. We've got a couple members that have come in from seeing us in sessions, and their mind's blown. There's 20 people, 30 people in a session, and 20 of them are us.
Yeah.
And it's just like we just ride by them, ignore them, whatever the case may be. Then they fall in line. They grab a bike, put on a cut, and they're riding it behind us.
Yeah. I love that.
I love that. And for me, I never got to experience that. Like Ginger either with this club. We came in when we had just transferred to PS4, and there was only a handful of members.
Very early days.
When I came in, I think there was like 6 or 7. Yeah. And that's one thing I wish I could have experienced before getting into the MC community, to see, that structure, just to feel that, oh my goodness.
Because it's so different. It is so strange when you see it. If you're not used to it, you're not exposed to it.
Or organized chaos, like it's, the rows and the debris kind of thing.
We got a bunch of fucking dogs on a chain. You know what I mean? Like, and all you got to do is let that chain go, and they go wild. You know what I mean? But when they're on the chain, it's cool. And that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
So, you hosted the Biker DLC live stream, didn't you?
I participated in that. Yep.
So how did you get involved with that? How did that process go?
They just hit me up. Like Rockstar just hit me up and said, hey, Dirty, you want to be on the stream? And, they asked if there were any other clubs that I'd like to have on with us. And so we reached out to another MC called the Hellhounds, who Reaper Lords have been friends with for years and years and years. And basically said, hey, Rockstar's doing the official Bikers DLC live stream. Do you guys want to be on it with us? We'll run, the basic different MC missions, teams against each other, that kind of thing. But we ended up having mixed teams and everything else. Like it wasn't a true like crew versus crew battle or anything like that. It was more just having somebody else in the lobby to kind of share in the experience. They just hit me up and asked if I wanted to be a part of it and if I would help them to organize it. And so that's where it came from.
So were they following you before that then?
Yeah. So go ahead.
What was that like? What when they followed you? Like, what was that point like for you within the club?
I wasn't in the club. I was Rockstar followed me before I joined Reaper Lords.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. No, I had been on a couple of their live streams and that kind of thing. I can tell you, like, again, as somebody who has been a fan of the game for 20 years, to have like direct connection with Rockstar and to have them like, it's so stupid, but like even just like a tweet, or like a post, that, when I first started interacting with them was just incredibly thrilling. Like, holy, like, they know who my character is, like within this gaming world. It was wild, right? And then I got to know, some of their people personally over the years. And they just kind of like validate, for anybody who fanboys over Rockstar, like I know there's a lot of people who are just, super cringy and hating on them. And meanwhile, playing their games for hundreds of hours a year. You know what I mean? But Rockstar sucks, but I'm on GTA fucking 8 hours a day, but fuck Rockstar. Like, bro, like that, you can't, I don't know, to me anyway, it's such an amazing thing that they've created. And again, my respect and admiration for them, just in terms of a gaming developer, like just from a technology standpoint, having seen where video games were before Rockstar and where they are after Rockstar, like the level of innovation and advancement in the way that Rockstar has driven video games forward, not just in their own franchises, but across the board because of the limits and barriers that they broke through. Again, guys like, Dan Houser, who just left as a writer, to be writing these video games almost like mini movies with, literal like Hollywood actors playing the roles and storylines that are deep and rich and all these cutscenes that like are again as good as Scarface, Goodfellas, you know what I mean? Like any of these, kind of movie influences that you see within their games. You just have to respect the hell out of them for what they've been able to do as a company. So to have that opportunity to get to know some of the people over there, and then to see like, oh, these guys are legit like rock stars. Like they're super talented. Like you don't get to go work at Rockstar unless you're like the best of the best. I always say it's like playing for the Patriots if you're a football player, or playing for the Red Sox if you're a baseball player. Like you're on the best of the best team when you join Rockstar. You have to be a top athlete. In sports, you got to be a top game developer to be at Rockstar. And so the people that I know over there, like I'll be talking to them at 9:00 at night on a Sunday, and they're still in the friggin' office, and they're happy, and they're loving it, and they're passionate about what they're doing. And again, I think there's been a lot of bitching and complaining about things like crunch time and so forth, and I certainly respect that and I understand that. But I can tell you, as somebody who has passion for the business that I've been in, when you love your work and you love what you do, you see those people clocking in at 9 and clocking out at 5, and you kind of feel bad for them, because like they don't love what they're doing with a stick. You know what I mean? Because I was there 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day, because I loved it. Like I would have like, HR coming to me and being like, how long have you been here? And I'm like, 16 hours. Like, oh, you have to leave right now. You have to leave for at least 2 hours. I'd go sleep in the parking lot, come back in and work 16 hours more. Why? Because I friggin' loved it. And so to see that, to be able to interact with people at Rockstar who have that level of passion and dedication, and to just have them know you, right? And like interact with you. I mean, it's just huge. I mean, for me, it's kind of like, again, it'd be like, somebody, pick your favorite sports star or whatever, just hitting you up in DMs like, hey, what's happening? Like that feels amazing. But more than anything, like I say, it just validates the fact that, wow, okay, they're really funny, they're really chill, they're really humble, they're really kind, they're really smart, they're really hardworking. And you kind of go, it's okay to be a fanboy when that's what you're fanning over. You know what I'm saying? If they were just, flashing Breitling watches and Lamborghinis and, gold chains and shit, like that's nothing for me to like aspire to or admire, right? Anybody can get that shit if you work hard enough for it. It's, that compassion and caring and passion and, hard work and labor and humility. Like that's what I like just fan over. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember what the question was because I went off on such a fanboy tangent there. But yeah, no, I'm very happy to know those guys. And I think, if people knew just how hard they work and how smart they are and how capable they are, you wouldn't see as many people talking shit, in their comments all the time, because they're just wonderful people in my experience.
Yeah. So just before we go, and there's about one or two more questions. If you were to say in your whole experience in your club, what would be the funniest experience or funniest moment that's happened over the years?
Man,
I'm sure lots has happened, but yeah,
like every day, just being in the crew chat, somebody will post something funny, something stupid. The funniest experience,
like what's going to stick with you out of everything? Like if you had to choose one thing.
I'll think of it after this interview. I can't say offhand. I can't think of anything.
We'll add it in after.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So, well, the final question. So there's a rumor that I've heard a couple of times, and it's that the Reaper Lords and Rockstar were communicating, and they asked the Reaper Lords what kind of things would bikers like in their the DLC. And one of the Reaper Lords mentioned a bike that flies. So I've heard that Reaper Lords are the reason behind the oppressor. Is there any truth to that?
No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, unless there was some secret meeting that I wasn't in on. No, I don't. That's such a bizarre thing. I mean, that's a strange thing. Of all the rumors I've heard, that is a really strange one. I don't even own an oppressor. We're obviously not allowed to use them. We never do. If anything, they have ruined the friggin' game. One of the things that we love to do is open lobby rides. It's just fun riding around. And like you say, you have randoms kind of jump out of their sports car and go put on a cut and hop on a bike and ride it and fall behind you. Like those are some of the most fun times in playing GTA, and they have been absolutely ruined by that stupid Harry Potter bike. So it's certainly not anything. Yeah, it's nothing we would advocate for. It's literally like one of the like. I think having FAA in free aim lobbies is literally the stupidest thing that has ever been coded into a video game in the history of video gaming. Why would you have separate free aim servers and then say, yeah, but if you want to be assisted aim in that server, you can? Like, it makes like it's like Rockstar doesn't even know their fans, like how many trolls are going to just come in and just ruin, the servers like that. So in my opinion, that is literally the stupidest thing that's ever been coded into a video game. And probably the second stupidest thing is that fucking Harry Potter bike. It makes no sense. It shouldn't be in GTA. I mean, it's Grand Theft Auto, right? Like, it's a crime game. It's not a fucking Space Rangers game. If I wanted to play some, stupid game with shit flying around, I'd have bought that game. You know what I'm saying? I didn't buy that game. I bought this game that's like a crime simulator, so it has no place. It's stupid. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth, but yeah, it didn't come from us.
When it was on the wheel a couple weeks ago, like, all our guys were terrified to spin the wheel.
Yeah,
like, nobody wanted to win it.
Yeah, like, nah, God, no. No, it's a good answer though. Jeez, I enjoyed that whole podcast / interview or whatever you want to call it. That was pretty good.
Likewise, it's been fun.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
Thanks for sitting down with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, until next time. Keep it easy, bro. Thank you.
Thanks.
If you're looking for an MC, please check out www.theunbornmc.com for more information.